Welcome back, warrior. We are reading Ezra chapter 6. So King Darius just gets this recount that it's okay to rebuild the temple. But King Darius is a little bit like, I don't know, and they're like, King Cyrus said that we could. And so this is where we're at. Let's find myself. Where am I at here? Okay, so Darius renews the decree of Cyrus to build the temple. It is finished and dedicated, and sacrifices and feasts commence again. How fun is that? Okay, so then Darius the king made a decree, and search was made in the house of the rolls where the treasures were laid up in Babylon. And there was found at Achumetha in the palace, that is the province of the Medes, a roll, and therein was a record thus written. In the first year of Cyrus the king, the same Cyrus the king made a decree concerning the house of God at Jerusalem. Let the house be builded, the place where they offered sacrifices, and let the foundations thereof be strongly laid, and height thereof 80 cubits, and the breadth thereof 80 cubits, with 3 rows of great stones, a row of new timber, and let the expanses be given out of the king's house. And also let the golden and silver vessels of the house of God, which Nebuchadnezzar took forth out of the temple, which is at Jerusalem, and brought unto Babylon, be restored, and brought again unto the temple, which is at Jerusalem, every one to his place, and place them in the house of God. Now therefore Tatnai, governor beyond the river, Shethar Boznai, and your companions, the Pharsachites, which are beyond the river, be ye far from thence. Let the work of this house of God alone. Let the governor of the Jews and the elders of the Jews build this house of God in his place. Moreover, I make a decree what ye shall do to the elders of these Jews for the building of this house of God, that the king's goods, even the tribute beyond the river, forthwith expenses be given unto these men, that they be not hindered, and that which they have need of, both young bullocks and rams and lambs, for the burnt offerings of the God of heaven, wheat, salt, wine, and oil, according to the appointments of the priests which are at Jerusalem, let it be given them day by day without fail, that they may offer sacrifices of sweet savors unto the God of heaven, and pray for the life of the king and of his sons. Also, I have made a decree that whosoever shall alter this word, let timber be pulled down from his house, and being set up, let him be hanged thereon, and let his house be made a dunghill for this. Oh, wow. And the God that hath caused his name to dwell there, destroy all kings and people that shall put to their hand to alter and to destroy this house of God, which is at Jerusalem. I, Darius, have made a decree, let it be done with speed. Then Tatnai, governor on this side of the river, Shethar Boznai, and their companions, according to that which Darius the king had sent, so they did speedily. And the elders of the Jews builded, and they prospered through the prophesying of Haggai and the prophet Zechariah, the son of Edo, and they builded and finished it according to the commandment of the God of Israel, and according to the commandment of Cyrus and Darius and Artaxerxes, king of Persia. And this house was finished on the 3rd day of the month Adar, which was in the 6th year of the reign of Darius the king. And the children of Israel, the priests and the Levites, and the rest of the children of the captivity, kept the dedication of this house of God with joy, and offered at the dedication of this house of God 100 bullocks, 200 rams, 400 lambs, and for a sin offering for all Israel 12 he-goats, according to the number of the tribes of Israel. And they set the priests in their divisions, and the Levites in their courses, for the service of God, which is at Jerusalem, as it is written in the book of Moses. And the children of the captivity kept the Passover unto the 14th day of the 1st month. For the priests and the Levites were purified together, all of them were pure. Okay, did I end with pure? And killed the Passover for all the children of the captivity, and for their brethren, the priests, and for themselves. And the children of Israel, which were come again out of captivity, and all such as had separated themselves unto them from the filthiness of the heathen of the land to seek the Lord God of Israel did eat, and kept the feast of unleavened bread 7 days with joy, for the Lord had made them joyful, and turned the heart of the king of Assyria unto them, to strengthen their hands in the work of the house of God and the house of Israel, and the God of Israel. Okay, so they were finally able to build the temple, and the temple was completed. So King Darius listened to his governor, and search was made. And notice in verse 1 that they began the search in Babylon, but ultimately found the records in Akhmetha, which was the capital of Cyrus. This suggests that a serious search was made when they were not found in Babylon. They were still searched for elsewhere. What a blessing, right? If the king wanted, he could have decreed that the record was not found. Therefore, the Jews had made up a story about King Cyrus, but they didn't. And they did this diligent search, and they found the decree Cyrus had given. Isn't that awesome? In this decree, King Cyrus had commanded to let the house be built and to let the foundations be strongly laid. Cyrus even decreed to let expenses be given of the king's house to return gold, silver, and silver vessels. So Darius learned that Cyrus had not only allowed the building of the temple, but he had even funded it. Darius would have come to the realization that Cyrus wanted this temple built, and therefore Darius honored Cyrus's wishes. How cool is that? Darius then commanded to let the work of this house of God alone. And just as Cyrus had, Darius would also fund the building of the temple. Governor Tatnai was to take the taxes and tributes gathered from the area and use them to build the temple. Oh, wouldn't that be cool? That like the funds be used, like taxes around the city would provide for the temple building. Like, pretty sweet, you know? Like, yes, build a temple in my city. I want my taxes to go to that versus what my taxes go to now. Who knows what they go to? You know what I'm saying? Okay. In addition, he commanded that the animals needed for sacrifices and whatever else they needed were to be given. So, not only did Darius wish to give the Jews what they needed for their sacrifices, but he also wanted the Jews to use their prayers and offerings at the temple to pray for the life of the king and his sons, which I think is super cool. Like, if they don't eat, like, he didn't believe him, but he's like, but I'll let you pray for me, you know, which kind of brings me to something where I texted one of, like, a gal that I had just met, or that I sort of being friends with. Anyway, I sent, I know she's like a single mom, and single moms, you know, they need lots of help and prayer and support. And so, because my mom was a single mom, so I know these things firsthand, right? So I sent this message, and I sent her a text, and I was like, hey, just so you know, been thinking about you, praying for you, you know, praying for you, friend, right? And I call people like my friends because they're just like everybody's just my friend. And I get back this message that's like, is everything okay? Is there something that I need to know? Like, why are you praying for me? Like, that was the attitude, like I don't need your prayers kind of thing. And I was like, this is the weirdest response to a I'm praying for you text. Like, if you pray for me, in fact, I want you to pray for me. Like, always be praying for me. I need all the help I can get, right? Like, that's just me. And so when other people say, like, or it felt like she was almost offended that I prayed for her. And I was like, the weirdest thing. And I don't know, you tell me, like, would you get offended if I prayed for you? And if I told you, maybe, like, I'll just have to not tell her when I'm praying for her, right? Because I feel like I definitely need all the prayers we can get. And I love that Darius was like, I'm not like part of their religion. But I definitely want them to pray for me and my sons, right? Like, yes, like, like, whoever you need to pray to, pray for me. Like, yeah, like, I'm totally on this page. It just was a little bit weird. I was like, really? You don't need extra love. You don't need extra prayers. Okay. I mean, you know, to each their own. But I was like, it took me back. I was like, wait a minute. Who doesn't want this? So I love that Darius was like, yeah, pray for me. Like, let's make this temple happen so you can pray for me and my kids, right? Um, so Darius would have known the nature of man, and that there were those who wished to stop the building of the temple and would continue their efforts to do so. So Darius ended with a decree with a very strong warning to those who changed the decree or got in the way of building the temple. He says, "Let him be hanged." Yeah, don't get in the way of building the Lord's temple, okay? And Darius's decree was a gift, for it allowed the Jews to complete the building of their temple, and I think because of that, that the Lord did bless him, right? And as we learn in Ezra chapter 4, the opposition will not stop, because there's always going to be haters. And the Jews still had many, many years of building ahead of them as they sought to restore Jerusalem and the walls surrounding the city. And those who oppose the work will continue to seek to stop and obstruct them. But at least the temple will be done. And Darius made sure of that. So cool, right? Okay. Let's see. And then the temple was allowed to be finished. So Governor Tatnai speedily obeyed Darius's decree, and the elders of the Jews builded, and they prospered through the prophesying of Haggai the prophet and Zechariah the son of Edu. The writer is making sure we understand that it is through following the prophets that they prospered. The Jews could have listened to their fears over their faith, or looked at the resistance as an opportunity to take a break or focus on other things. But think about how much courage it would take for the Jews to just follow the prophets rather than listening to the command of the king's counselors to stop the building. But because they moved forward with faith, things unfolded in a marvelous way. And now they had the assistance of the king and governor. These were enormous blessings that came from following the prophets, even in the face of uncertainty. So the temple was finished in verse 15. It took around 4 years to complete the construction. That was fast for such a monumental job back in the day. But that is exactly what the others were observing. Remember when Tatnai wrote to Darius, he said, "This work goeth fast on and prospereth in their hands." So then the temple is dedicated, and there's a celebration that surrounded that. And they also kept the Passover on the day it should be kept. These faithful Jews were carefully restoring all that that had been lost, and restoring it to the proper ways. As they did, the Lord made them joyful after so many blisters, so many sore muscles, so many acts of pure faith. Generations of Jews to follow them will be able to build upon the foundations these Jews courageously restored. Super cool. Okay. So that is it for Ezra chapter 6 until Ezra chapter 7. Stay strong, warrior. And I just love that like the temple was built, and that King Darius, who is not of their religion, was so adamant to make sure that it got built, because also King Cyrus, who was not of their religion, was like, let's get this done. Like, how cool, right?